All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are digging into one of the wildest, most controversial stories in crypto right now. It's about a project that basically declared a civil war on one network just to fuel its own growth. And trust me, they're aiming even higher now.
So just imagine this for a second. You've got Monero, a top-tier privacy coin, famous for its security, its decentralization, and then, out of nowhere, it's under siege. But here's the twist. It wasn't an outside hacker. The attack was coming from inside the house, from a group of its very own miners.
Yep, that's the number that should make any crypto enthusiast's blood run cold. For a critical window of time, one single entity controlled over half of the entire Monero network's computing power. This gave them the power to rewrite history, block transactions, you name it. It was actually the deepest block reorganization in Monero's entire history.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't your typical smash and grab. The group behind this whole thing claimed they weren't actually trying to destroy the network. So what was the point? What was their real goal? Well, let's find out.
So to really wrap our heads around how this was even possible, we first need to break down the mechanics of what they actually did.
So a 51% attack is pretty much the nightmare scenario for a blockchain like Monero. If you control most of the power, you control the network's present and its recent past. It's a fundamental threat to the entire idea of decentralization.
And what's just wild is how fast this all happened. I mean, look at this timeline. In May, this group was a nobody, a tiny player. By late June, they lit a match with a new incentive program. Just a month later, they controlled a quarter of the network. And by August 11th, boom, they had total dominance. It was an absolute whirlwind.
So who exactly is this group that came out of nowhere? Well, the project is called QUBIC, and it's led by a very well-known figure in the crypto space, Sergey Ivancheglo, who is one of the co-founders of IOTA. But their stated mission is, well, it's a lot bigger than just taking over other networks.
Get this. QUBIC claims they aren't just mining crypto, they're trying to build an artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Their big idea is to take all that energy that's typically wasted securing a blockchain and point it at something useful, like training AI models. And this is their whole hook, useful proof of work. Instead of computers just solving random math problems to earn coins, in QUBIC's world, that same computing power contributes to a massive, decentralized AI brain. It is a really ambitious idea, you have to give them that.
Okay, so how did they actually pull this off? Well, their economic engine is really clever. It's this three-step loop. First, they told miners, hey, use your computers to mine Monero for us. Then, they took all that Monero, sold it for a stablecoin, and here's the key, they used that money to buy their own QUBIC token off the market. This drives up the price and lets them pay out huge bonuses. They basically turned Monero's network into a gas station for their own ecosystem.
And this chart right here shows you exactly why it worked. The incentive was just too good to ignore. At its peak, miners could make nearly 3 times more profit by mining Monero through QUBIC's system than by just mining it directly. So what happened? Thousands of miners flooded over, giving QUBIC all the power it needed.
Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the controversy. QUBIC claimed this whole thing was a strategic experiment, but was it really about testing network security, or was it something else?
You've really got two sides to this story. On one hand, QUBIC said they were stress testing Monero, kind of like a rehearsal to find weaknesses. On the other hand, critics pointed out that the price of QUBIC's own token was absolutely soaring during all this. They argued that QUBIC was just using Monero as a pawn to generate hype and make money for themselves.
And this quote from researcher Dan.Bio really captures the core argument here. For a lot of people in the Monero community, it didn't really matter if QUBIC had good intentions or bad ones. The simple fact that a single group centralized that much power on a decentralized network was, by its very nature, a threat.
But the Monero incident, that wasn't the end of the story. In fact, it was just the beginning. After proving their model worked, the QUBIC community set its sights on a much bigger prize.
I mean, just look at this comparison. After successfully taking control of Monero, a multi-billion-dollar network, the QUBIC community voted on who was next, Dogecoin. We're talking about a network that is orders of magnitude larger. Their ambition is clearly escalating.
So what does the future actually hold for this project? Well, the opinions could not be more split. Is this the next big thing, or is it a project that's just destined to fail?
So the believers, the bulls, They point to this incredibly ambitious roadmap. They've already launched their Dogecoin mining. They're building bridges to huge ecosystems like Ethereum and Solana. Plus, they have a really strong grassroots community, and they've done it with no VC funding, which is rare and suggests there's some real conviction there.
But then you have the other side. And this quote from Wallet Investor, an algorithmic forecasting service, is about as bearish as you can get. They don't just call it a risky investment, they call it a bad, high-risk one.
And behind that pretty dire warning is this staggering number. Wallet Investor System is predicting a potential price drop of over 94% within a year. I mean, that's a forecast for a near total collapse.
And so that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Is QUBIC a brilliant, innovative project that's pushing the boundaries of blockchain and AI, or is it a dangerous new kind of parasite, one that threatens the security of the whole crypto world for its own benefit? The answer is still being written, and it's a story we are definitely going to be watching. Thanks for tuning in.